The desert wind carried a mournful cry that night, half human, half something wild. It came from the canyon where the moonlight fell like silver dust on red stone. A young Apache girl, her dark hair tangled from running, stumbled over a jagged rock, blood trickling down her bare ankle. She didn't care. Behind her, the torches were coming closer. Voices, angry, male, ruthless. "Find her before dawn," shouted one. "She belongs to Chief Loma's son now. Bring her back alive." The girl, Taya, pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. Her heart hammered like a war drum. The arranged marriage had been decided that very day, and by sunset, her tribe's council had sealed her fate. Chief Loma's son was a cruel man, a hunter who laughed when the wolves screamed. She'd rather die than be his wife. She hid behind a boulder, eyes wide and tear-glazed, whispering prayers to the stars. That's when she heard the faint rhythm of hooves in the distance, not the pounding of the search party, but a slow, deliberate trot. For a moment, she froze, clutching the necklace her mother had given her before she died. Then the rider emerged from the shadows, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a long duster coat that fluttered in the wind. His horse was a dark stallion, sleek and alert. The rider's face was shadowed under a wide hat, but his eyes, pale blue, sharp as a hawk's, caught hers. He pulled on the reins. "You lost, miss." His voice was low, calm, and steady as the plains wind. Taya backed away. "Go. They'll kill you if they find you here." "Who's they?" the cowboy asked, scanning the horizon. "My people," she whispered. "They'll force me to marry a man I fear." He leaned forward slightly in the saddle. "You're running from them." She nodded, her chest rising fast. He exhaled through his nose, then reached down a gloved hand. "Then we'd best ride before they find you." She hesitated only a second, then she grasped his hand. His grip was warm, strong, and without another word, he pulled her up onto the horse in one motion. She landed behind him, clutching his coat as the stallion bolted into the night. The chase began. Behind them, shouts rose. "There! She's with a white man," followed by gunfire. The desert exploded with echoes. The cowboy urged his horse faster, weeding through rocks and dry creek beds, bullets sparking off stone. Taya buried her face in his back, praying silently. After what felt like forever, the sounds faded into the distance. The horse slowed to a trot, then stopped beside an old cottonwood by a dry riverbed. The cowboy swung down and offered her his hand again. "You all right?" Taya nodded shakily, still clutching his coat. "They'll follow. They never stop." He looked toward the dark horizon. "Then we'll have to keep moving before dawn." "Why help me?" she asked softly. "You don't even know me." The cowboy looked at her for a long moment. "Name's Colton Reeves," he said finally. "Used to be a soldier. Now I just ride where peace still breathes." His gaze softened. "You looked like someone who needed saving." She smiled faintly through tears. "Taya," she said. "My name is Taya." They camped under the stars that night, a small fire flickering between them. Colton tended to her scraped ankle, his rough hands surprisingly gentle. He tore a strip from his bandana and tied it carefully. "Your people, they won't stop until they find you," he said. "I know." Her voice trembled. "They believe I dishonor them by running." "Sometimes the only way to honor yourself," Colton said quietly, "is to run from what breaks you." For a moment, silence hung heavy. The desert wind whispered through the grass, and the fire cracked softly. Then she looked up, meeting his eyes. "If they find us, they'll kill you." He smiled, a tired, crooked smile. Wouldn't be the first time someone tried. Before dawn, they rode again, heading west. The landscape changed from red sand to rocky hills, then to wide plains. Days passed like whispered prayers. Each sunrise brought a little more hope, each night a little more fear. One evening, as they rested near a stream, Taya turned to him. "You could leave me," she said. "You've done enough. You owe me nothing." Colton leaned on his knee, watching the fading light. "Ain't about owing. I just don't leave folks behind. Especially not someone with fire in their eyes." She blushed, lowering her gaze. "You talk like no man I've met." He chuckled softly. "That's probably for the best." But that night, as she slept, Colton couldn't rest. He knew the danger wasn't over. He'd seen the signs, hoofprints following theirs, smoke far off in the distance. They were being tracked. The next morning confirmed it. Just as they reached the ridge overlooking a valley, Colton spotted riders, 4, maybe 5, closing in from the south. "Taya," he shouted, grabbing her hand. "Mount up." They raced downhill, wine tearing through their hair, the stallions' hooves pounding like thunder. Arrows whistled past them, one grazing Colton's arm, another striking the saddle. He grimaced but didn't stop. At the bottom of the ridge, they crossed a shallow stream, water splashing up in cold bursts. Then came the sound, gunfire. Sharp, relentless. Colton turned, firing back with his revolver, picking off one rider, then another. But there were too many. They reached an abandoned mission, a crumbling adobe church half swallowed by dust. Colton dismounted, pulled Taya behind the old stone wall. "Stay low," he ordered. She clutched his arm. "You'll die if you fight them alone." He gave her a faint grin. "You don't know me yet, sweetheart. I don't die easy." Gunfire echoed. Colton fired from behind cover, every shot clean and deliberate. 2 riders fell, horses scattering. But then one bullet tore through his side, and he stumbled back. Taya screamed, catching him before he fell. Blood soaked through his coat. "Colton, no, stay with me." He gritted his teeth. "Get on the horse. Ride north. Don't stop till you see the town. I won't leave you." She cried. He smiled weakly. "You said your people never stop." "Neither do I." He raised his revolver again, eyes burning. "Go." Taya hesitated, tears streaming down her face. Then, hearing the riders getting closer, she kissed his forehead and ran outside. She mounted his horse, the stallion whinnied, sensing her fear, and rode hard into the open desert. Behind her, she heard the final shots, then silence. Hours later, as dawn broke over the plains, Taya rode into a small frontier town. Dusty, half asleep, the air heavy with smoke from morning fires. She dismounted and collapsed near the saloon steps, whispering his name. A woman came running. "Honey, you all right?" Taya shook her head, gripping the woman's sleeve. He saved me." They carried her inside, gave her water, and wrapped her in a blanket. For 3 days, she stayed there, waiting. She watched the horizon every sunrise, hoping for a shadow on horseback. But no one came. Then, on the 4th morning, she saw movement, a lone rider, slumped but alive. The stallion limped into town, dust covering its flanks. It was Colton. Taya ran to him, tears spilling freely. "You came back." He winced as he slid from the saddle, one hand pressed to his bandaged side. "Told you," he murmured, smiling faintly. "Don't die easy." She helped him inside, trembling with relief. The townsfolk offered shelter, and over the next weeks, Colton healed slowly. Taya tended to him every day, her laughter returning like spring after a long winter. When he could finally stand again, he found her by the window, braiding her hair. The evening sun made her skin glow like copper fire. "You're free now," he said softly. "Your people won't follow this far west." She turned to him, eyes glistening. "Free," she whispered. "Not without you." He hesitated, then stepped closer, lifting her chin. "You sure about that?" She smiled faintly. "Before they forced me to marry, I begged the spirits to send me someone who would see me, not as property, not as shame. Someone who'd hear me. They sent you." Colton's rough hand brushed her cheek. "Guess I was meant to ride this way." Outside, thunder rolled across the plains, a storm brewing in the distance. But inside, it was quiet, peaceful. They stood close, the wind rattling the window panes. Taya placed her palm over his heart. "Then ride with me," she whispered. "Where no one owns us. Not the tribe, not the land, no one." He looked into her eyes, the kind of eyes that burned with freedom, and nodded. "All right, Taya, let's ride." By nightfall, the 2 figures were gone from town, the storm at their backs, stars ahead. The sound of hooves faded into the dark, 2 souls bound not by blood or tribe, but by the wild promise of the open west. Some said they were seen years later, riding through the desert at sunset, a cowboy and an Apache girl, laughing against the wind. Others said they vanished where the sky meets the earth, lost to legend. But the old folks still whisper, when the wind howls through the canyon at night, that once, under a silver moon, a cowboy lifted a girl onto his horse. And together, they rode beyond every chain ever forged by man.